Hello and welcome everyone to another episode. Yes, so I finally decided it time to start, working more on the Minmus base, and I'm gonna start really kind of putting forth all my effort towards trying to make sure that base is just 100% complete. Now, some of the new things I think I should cover. I ended up designing this whole lander, which I'm gonna talk about more when we're landing, and a few different things I just want to talk about. One of them being the new update. It's not out yet, but it will be soon. The new update, for those of you who don't know, or you're like kind of wondering exactly what is going to be on the new update, what is it going to consist of, and all that other stuff. The Kerbal Space Program team, squad, they ended up releasing a short YouTube video, basically kind of covering some of the things that are going to be added, and that's on their YouTube page, so go over there and check that out. If you aren't already subscribed to them, for you new people or whoever else, basically look in my feed, in my news feed. It's under one of my liked videos, so you'll see that. And also, another thing I should mention as well is I believe the Voyager 1 is now in interstellar space. There was a video that was released about that. The JPL released the sounds of interstellar space, so I think you guys should go check that out as well. That's another one of my liked videos. Most of my videos that I like are either Kerbal related or space related, so all I'm going to say is definitely go and check those out. Just amazing stuff. I mean, just absolutely amazing. But yeah, basically I've been working on a new lander for Minmus and a few different places. I am going to be taking this possibly to Jewel. I see that this lander possibly is going to be one of the better landers I've ever made, and it will probably be one of the possibly the best lander I've ever built in that category. I honestly think it is. But I should kind of jump ahead of myself and a little bit behind and back and forth. I'm going to be all over the place a little bit. Now, some of you, I have noticed, I don't mean to, basically complain, because I'm not here to complain to you guys. I've noticed a slight disinterest with Kerbal Space Program, at least as far as my episodes are concerned. Now, if you guys have suggestions or any comments, feel free to let me know. I mean, if you guys are really kind of just getting bored with this, I'll try to mix it up a little bit more than what I have been already, and start doing missions to Duna and other places. I mean, I've been very focused on the Kerbal system and making sure everything comes together very nicely. But if it's not your cup of tea, so to speak, if you want to see me going other places and doing other things, I am more than okay with doing these things. I just kind of wanted to have fun with the Kerbal system, and the main part of the reason why I kind of stick around the Kerbal system a lot is I don't like playing this game for huge intervals and only being able to really kind of only get like maybe 1 or 2 episodes with these interplanetary missions. Generally they last like 3 or 4 hours of gameplay for me, and when I edit it, usually I cut out about, if it were 3 hours of gameplay, I usually end up cutting out about 2.5 hours of it, if not a little bit less than that, maybe 2 hours and 15 minutes worth of it, which I don't mean to say that in a bad way. It's just that it really doesn't produce a lot as far as videos are concerned, and I don't want to sound like I'm only looking to put out as many videos as I absolutely can. It's just more of, if you guys want to see daily videos, then simple things like the Kerbin stuff and everything else are about as good as I can get, but, you know, doing interplanetary missions here and there are a different story, because I can do, you know, 1 or 2 interplanetary missions in between when I do other things. But I was thinking of doing another Duna base, and basically, you know, setting up the same way as I did before, launching it, and also bringing along probes as well. That way I can kind of find a better landing zone, like landing site, than I did before, because the landing site I found before was actually probably the best landing site I've ever had for a base, and I was really happy with what I got, so I'm not even going to complain about that. So, but we'll figure out something with landing and probes and getting there and all that stuff. But because Duna is kind of my main focus as far as where I want to go. As far as Jewel is concerned, that is definitely, I don't know, but one of my subscribers a long time ago mentioned this sun station idea, and I'm really liking it, but I'm finding myself biting my nails just even thinking about how I would even set something like that up. Now, getting to the sun, I mean, I don't know what you guys would be considering a sun station. I mean, for me, I would preferably be, you know, just a few, you know, maybe a few thousand kilometers, or maybe like 1,000 kilometers away from the sun, or I don't honestly know on how close I should be. I don't even know what I would say under Moho orbit would be considered a sun station. But that is kind of an easy thing to do, so I really don't, I mean, not like 100% easy, but rambling on like I normally do. But it's just, the idea of it is awesome, but as far as setting it up, I really wouldn't know where to start as far as how much fuel and how big of a rocket I would really need in order to get there. So it really just kind of makes me wonder as far as like what I would need and where I would need to go and everything else, how I would need to go about doing something like this. And the worst part is most of the stuff I would build would not be able to be reusable. So if I built like a really big craft in order to get one part there, then I would have to rebuild that exact same craft, especially if I had to do refueling. Then I would have to constantly rebuild these crafts in order to just get a really minimal small piece all the way into orbit around the sun, that close. So I know that getting to Moho is basically almost, I know the Delta V required is almost the same about as to get to Joule, but I am really just kind of, I am, don't even know. I would, you know, building something like that really isn't that big of a deal, but I'd probably just send up an orange tank with a nuclear engine on it, and like 4 of them on there, and that's basically as good as it would get. You know, I don't know if I could build something bigger than that. So, well, at least, well, I mean, I shouldn't say something like that. I should say I don't know if building something like that, and I missed my burn by a lot, so this is gonna kind of suck. But I don't know, something like that, as far as like the size of it is concerned, I don't know if I could build something off of one launch, like basically just launch a specific piece. Oh my god, frame rate issues. So I'm going to, yeah, this is about as good as it's going to get for this orbit, at least for right now. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to speed it up here, and I'm going to do my burn, and then we'll continue our conversation about getting to the sun. So, back to the sun station thing. Now, I was thinking, I mean, I'm not 100% certain with this one, but I was thinking something along the lines of like one orange tank with 4 nuclear engines, and I'd kind of just work that thing into orbit, basically. Um, I would basically just take like just send up that one piece all by itself, and then send up a second piece, which would be whatever it is I'm adding to the station. But, I'm really just unsure of how I would do this and if it would even work, to be honest. I just don't know. So that's kind of one of the things. Like, I've never really gone on I've never actually launched a rocket into the sun, basically, and just sent it straight at the sun and gotten there and everything else. It's usually always kind of been, the closest I've gotten was, what is it, Eve, basically. I've tried Moho a couple times, but I just really, I end up just kind of giving up, I like sending stuff to other planets. I don't really like the idea of just sending some Kerbals there, land on the surface, and basically never leave. Like, I would rather send, like, a huge rover to the moon or something like that, almost an 80-ton rover to the moon. I think that is kind of an awesome idea. But, if for those of you who are new and haven't watched that video, I did send an 80-ton rover to the moon, and those are the kind of things I just enjoy doing. I think it's absolutely absurd to have that big of a rover, but, instead of having a regular stationary moon base, we have a mobile moon base now, which I think is an awesome idea. So, but what do I know? So I'm going to do a few orbits around here. We'll see what we can get. It doesn't really look like it's going to be that good of an orbit. I might have to bring this down a lot. I could wait until this comes lower, but I really don't think that's going to help us in any kind of way. And plus, to do a simple correction isn't really going to require insane amounts of fuel, so I could bring this down a little bit, and I gotta, get rid of all of that extra speed there that we're going to be adding. So I might end up speeding up a little bit of this landing and certain things like that, but we'll see. But, back to again, once again, I don't want to say, okay, well, I'm not going to send anything to any other planets or anything like that. Like, I'm definitely thinking about doing some stuff as far as interplanetary missions very soon, because I feel like I need to freshen up things a little bit. I've been neglectful of all this game has to offer. So it's, I've just really been like, okay, well, we'll stick around Kerbin, we'll keep doing stuff around Kerbin, and we're never going to leave Kerbin ever. It's just not the best thing ever. And I can tell there's some boredom in the game and what I've been doing as far as everyone else, because I see it. I've seen a lot of things so far as like, the idea of everything I've been doing really hasn't been the most fun things for you guys to watch, which, honestly, just tell me. I really don't mind if you guys say, hey, well, I'm getting very bored of this, or we should try to do this. Suggestions are what keep me playing this game. Your suggestions and your comments, those are the two things that keep me playing this game. I enjoy reading your comments, I enjoy responding back, and just about everything else. So, anyways, on to landing. So, we need to do our burn. Let's see, I would say, like, right here would probably, you know what, we're a little bit close already. Our orbit, yeah, we're looking pretty good. So, let's see just bring this down, and we need to bring it over a lot. And I'm thinking like right there is looking good, but that is actually looking even better. So, because by the time this moon rotates, we should be almost right on top of our target. It doesn't need to be perfect, but the closer the better right now, as it is. So let's see. I'm going to start covering the new lander here very shortly. Once we get into our burn and we start heading down, I'll start explaining a little bit on, what it is and the reason why I built this thing and what my main goal and mission is with this. There's a lot kind of at stake with this lander, which I'm going to quick save. I should quick save like right now. I should have quick saved when I was in orbit. So once I finish this burn, I am actually going to quick save, just because there's been a few problems with it here and there, and I just want to ensure that we're going to be 100% golden on this landing. So let's see, F5, yeah. So, alright, what I wanted to do is kind of explain what this lander is all about. If this lander succeeds, which I'm hoping it does, this lander will be going to probably Joule. I'll probably end up building a mock-up of the exact same lander and sending it to Joule with, a mission as far as visiting some of the planets. This lander itself will be used multiple times to take off and land. It has a lot of fuel. It doesn't really look that big. I don't know 100% if we will be taking the rover. I think it would be a cool idea, but with this setup, basically, I wanted to have one white tank. So it would be half of one of these tanks. And along with that, I wanted to have a good amount of RCS fuel, which, I mean, we do, but you have to minus out 750 out of our total here, which is still a good amount. And the other thing I wanted to have, but unfortunately, I couldn't. For some reason, this thing kept falling apart. I had a decoupler here, so you could actually return back to Kerbin and everything. But I wanted to have three things with this lander. I wanted it to be small, I wanted to have nuclear engines, and I wanted to have a rover built onto it as well. Now, those three things, they sound pretty easy, but it really wasn't that easy building this thing. Basically, we got one tank here for symmetry to have two engines. The two engines are just enough to land, at least in the Kerbal system. And most of the moons in this game are definitely more than enough. And then the rover on the bottom. And the main problem is I've built landers like this before. You guys have seen them. But what sets this apart from all of those is the fact that the size of this one is a lot smaller than any other lander I've built. This thing will possibly land on its wheels. I had to redesign it a little bit, and that was only because of the fact that I had different kinds of wheels on it, and the different wheels just didn't play well with Minmus in any kind of way. So that was really the main goal with this lander, is at least get it set up for Minmus. And this is kind of like the main test of it. I did land this thing on Minmus before with obviously the different set of wheels. I had a few different problems come my way, which one of them happened to be the decoupling issue, which I'm hoping really doesn't play a big issue in this landing right now, because I don't feel like shooting this again. But let's see. Now, the wheels themselves, I used the other wheels, the bigger wheels. I think those are more geared towards the moon, and they don't really work well with Minmus in any kind of way. So, for those of you who are building rovers and stuff, not unless if it's like a really big rover, I would not suggest using it. And that's just my 2 cents on that matter. Alright, so I'm going to bring this down, and hopefully nothing falls apart. Perfect. So we got 2 nuclear engines. It's, as far as the lander is concerned, it really is a decent lander. It's just, I really, really wanted nuclear engines on it. And then the landing gear, which was the next issue, was how am I supposed to put landing gear on something when the engines are so big? So all I ended up doing was running struts off of the bottom of the tank here, and we got that. But I should be slowing down now because we are getting very close to the surface. And I'm going to start angling ourselves more towards... We had a little graphic lag there, weird. Angling ourselves a little bit more towards the base. We need to be landing very close to it, so... This is kind of brushing up my skills on landing as well, because I haven't actually had to pinpoint land stuff in a long time, so... Explosions. I haven't had to pinpoint land stuff in a while, so... This is always kind of fun to do. I just gotta make sure that the landing itself is fairly good. You can see our shadow here. It's looking pretty good. I mean, we are getting already really close. And I keep thinking we're like a little bit past it, but we're not. But, you know, right now we're roughly 600 off the surface. That's not bad. Let's see. Alright, we're going right at it. That's beautiful. I'll just turn these engines on a little bit just to knock out some of that speed. That way we're not going to smash into anything. Smashing into Minmus would not be a nice thing. Turn off these lights too, Jesus. We already got light down here. Just have a nice smooth landing. And with these nuclear engines, I mean, you have like complete control as far as your landing is concerned, which is amazing. I mean, you can basically be cruising at 1 meter per second. Or, I mean, knocking out 0.1 meter per second while landing, and it's just like you get no real variation as far as the landing and everything. It's just amazing. Just a nice smooth landing. There we go. That's looking beautiful. So now, the one thing with this rover that kind of sucks, but it's not that bad. Got to decouple it, and then we got to take off again, just to make sure, just so that we can actually have the rover, or at least get it out from underneath the lander here. So just slowly, the thing's rolling away too. Hopefully it doesn't roll too far. That's all I can say. It won't be good. There we go. Please don't roll away. That's not a nice thing. But yeah, I'm really liking this lander design. I'm probably going to be using this more often for a lot of things I build. So hurry up and get out. We need to catch our rover. It's going away. So spacebar. Oh my god. Use your RCS. Use your RCS. There we go. Now let's test out this new rover. I was a little skeptical that it's not going to work or something, but I'm thinking this one will be alright. Whoa, whoa, there we go. There we go. Hey, come on. There we go. Okay, yeah, that's the wrong keys to be controlling this thing. So, anyways, guys, we have a new lander. Wow, this thing is not wanting to turn at all. I think that had something to do with it. There we go. The SAS was on. So yeah, these wheels, I do have to say, on Minmus, they really do have just absolutely good control. The other bigger wheel, I think that's more geared for the moon, and using that here really does not do anything for you. So this is our lander. I mean, if you look, I should switch back here. I'll put the gear on. Wait, no, not the gear. Put the brakes on. And if you look, this is how much fuel we use just for landing, basically. Other than, you know, basically the other stage that basically knocked us out of orbit, which really isn't that big of a deal. I see this thing as being reusable many, many times. And I think even the ladder reaches down at a fairly decent height to where you can actually kind of grab it. Yeah, that looks okay. It's not that big of a deal, but... Now, my next... You might be wondering what the reason for this rover was, and this is the reason. I want to try something out. I'm going to speed this up, though, but I'm going to try something out. I want to see if I can do what I did on Duna here, as far as knocking these pieces in, like just pushing them to the places where I need them, and seeing if that actually works. If this works, I will not even bother building a crane or any kind of... Because I was thinking of maybe building a sky crane in order to get things here and land them. But if this works, I am not even going to bother with that. So we just got to pick out a nice piece of scenery that we want, either in the background or something. I think this is good as it is, so I'm going to stick with what I just saw. And I'm going to try to push this piece over. But this is, once again, if this doesn't work, then I'm probably just going to kind of call it here. But, you know, whatever. We'll figure something out afterwards. So, my main point with this is to try to push these pieces together a little bit. I know it's not going to be perfect, but we'll try. I'm just going to try on the other side here. If we don't really get anything, once again, I should do this real quick before I break something. I would break something if I had to actually land this thing all over again, because this lander does cause problems sometimes, and that's the main issue. But once again, I will probably be using this for another mission, because it is actually probably one of the best landers, again, that I've ever built. So I'm thinking a mission to Duna or to to Dres would probably be, is it Dres? A mission to Dres would probably be the best thing as a landing for that thing. A real good testing for the lander. Yeah, so this really isn't working out. You know, if I end up getting some of these pieces knocked together, then I'm going to probably shoot another episode, but I'm going to mess around with this a little bit more. And, you know, try to see if I can get something going here. See, the best part about this thing is when you get stuck, all you have to do is just kind of knock it around like that, and you'll be alright. So, anyways, guys, thank you for watching. If you like what you see here, subscribe. There's always more to come. And to all you new people, welcome. And, yeah, I will see you next time.